Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to give you my review of Jurassic World Dominion. When the movie opens, it's been 4 years since the events of Isla Nublar and the incident at the Lockwood estate. And dinosaurs are roaming the earth. A company called Biosyn has established a dino sanctuary in the mountains of Italy, and they are conducting genomic research, which they say they're doing because they're trying to come up with pharmacological breakthroughs. Against this backdrop, we have Claire and Owen living in a remote cabin in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and they are raising Maze Lockwood, the cloned granddaughter of Benjamin Lockwood. Next thing you know, Blue, the velociraptor that Owen had trained, or one of them anyway, shows up with her asexually created offspring, which Maze quickly names Beta. Maze, it turns out, is a little disenchanted with living in seclusion, and unbeknownst to Claire and Owen, Biosyn wants to study her DNA. On one occasion when she sneaks away to, I guess, go beyond the little enclave that she's been living in to see what's what, Biosyn operatives kidnap her and Beta. Now, at the same time, elsewhere in the world, giant locusts, which used to be extinct, are no longer extinct, and swarms of them are wiping out crops. This is where we see Dr. Ellie Sattler enter the picture, Laura Dern from the original Jurassic Park. She concludes that corporate grown crops using Biosyn seed are being left untouched, which makes her suspect that they created the locusts so that they could take out the competition, as it were. She surmises that their DNA dates to the Cretaceous period, so she approaches her former partner, Dr. Alan Grant, also from the original Jurassic Park movie, for help. While all this is going on, Claire and Owen, of course, are frantic to get Maze back. They go and see a character called Franklin, who is with the CIA's dinosaur unit, which, why would the CIA have a dinosaur unit? That's kind of strange. Anyway, Claire and Owen end up infiltrating a dinosaur black market. And when authorities launch a raid, the black market folks release some atrociraptors, causing total chaos. But while there, Claire and Owen discover that Biosyn is taking Maze and Beta to their secluded Italian headquarters. And they are flown there by a sympathetic cargo pilot named Kayla Watts. Again, while all this is happening, we found out that Dr. Ian Malcolm, the Jeff Goldblum character, is working for Biosyn. He's been tipped off by the communications director there about how Biosyn CEO Louis Dodgson is up to his elbows in a whole bunch of illegal activity. And so he asks Alan and Ellie, well, Ellie directly, and then who enlists Alan, to help expose the company. Of course, it's revealed that geneticist Dr. Henry Wu, the BD Wong character, genetically engineered the locusts to avoid Biosyn crops so the company control the world's food supply, just as the good doctor suspected. But he's had a change of heart. He now opposes the plan, knowing it would cause massive famine. Maze is introduced to Wu, and he explains that she was not cloned exactly. He says that her mother, Charlotte, used her own DNA to also asexually conceive, and that she's just a genetically identical child. So more like a twin born of her own twin rather than a clone. I'm not sure there's a difference there. Anyway, her mother had died from a genetic disorder, but she had altered Maze's DNA, making her immune. And Wu believes that both Maze's and Beta's DNA are key to creating a pathogen to halt the locust outbreak, which I don't know why he believes that. And it's a little serendipitous that both Beta and the girl are asexually, they never explain how the dinosaur did, I don't know. But when Claire and Owen arrive in Biosyn airspace on the plane belonging to the Kayla person, their plane is attacked by a flying dinosaur, the name of which I'm going to butcher, but apparently it's called a Quetzalcoatlus or a Quetzalcoatlus. I don't know. I'm saying that wrong. I know. They attack. One of them attacks the plane. It's a giant flying dinosaur thing, kind of like a pterodactyl. So the plane is irreparably damaged. It's going down. The three decide that Claire is going to eject in the ejection seat with a parachute because there's only the one, while Owen and Kayla go down with the plane, which of course they survive. Claire ends up having a conflict with a dinosaur in the middle of the jungle, and there's a dinosaur that attacks Owen and Kayla on the ice, and which swims under the ice and jumps out of the ice, in a crazy kind of scene where they're being chased and Owen almost drowns. And apparently these dinosaurs are called a pyroraptor, which suggests that it could do fire, but I didn't see any of that. And the other one is called a therizinosaurus. I don't know. Anyway, so they both survive these separate attacks and they regroup. Then we go over to Biosin, where Ellie and Alan access a restricted lab with the help of Dr. Malcolm, who slips them some information and a device to get them into restricted areas. They want to steal or acquire a locust DNA sample. They end up running into Maze, who's gone rogue from her captors, after a long scene of Dr. Wu explaining to her who she is and where she came from, and she goes with them. When the CEO guy discovers that the lab was breached, he ignites it to destroy all of the physical evidence, but he sets off a blaze that results in the locust escaping, and they light the whole forest up. And of course, he also fires Ian Malcolm when he realizes that he's the one that exposed his operation. There was kind of a weird scene where Malcolm tries to get preachy in the process of being fired, and it didn't really work for me. I don't know. It was clunky. Anyway, now Alan, Ellie, and Maze are trying to get out of the facility, which they barely do. And they run into Ian, Owen, Claire, and Kayla. And the CEO guy gets out of Dodge with a couple of dinosaur embryos. But he ends up not being able to get very far because our heroes turn off the power, which they needed to do in order to turn on the anti-flying dinosaur thing so that they could take a helicopter and escape and not be attacked by the flying dinosaurs, which I didn't really understand. How is that system going to be on while the rest of the power is off? Like, it's a system that deters the flying. I don't know how you need power to, I don't know. Anyway, the power's off and his tram that he was escaping on gets stuck, and he gets taken in by a trio of dinosaurs that spit acid in his face and basically eat him. And I guess these dinosaurs we've seen them before, I think in the original Jurassic Park. They're the ones that take out the guy from Seinfeld, the Newman character, they go, and the thing comes out of there. I guess they're called Dilophosaurus or Dilophosaurus. Anyway, all the dinosaurs have electronic implants in them that allow them to be herded, I guess, like sheep whenever necessary to get them all in the same place, to protect them from environmental hazards or whatever. And so that's done. They're all converging on one spot. While Owen, with the help of Dr. Grant and Maze, find and tranquilize Beta, who's been running around this whole time because Maze let him out. And the reason they're doing this is because he promised Blue that he would get her back, or get them back, which the Jeff Goldblum character finds hilarious. You made a promise to a dinosaur? Anyway, I'm leaving a lot out because the review would go on forever, but during the scenes where they're restoring the power or cutting the power and they're finding the dinosaur, there's, a lot of shenanigans. Some of the remaining locusts attack Claire and Ellie, and, they have to sort of stalk Beta to get her back, even though she's about this big. I guess she's kind of a threat. She could jump on them and hurt them. So that's happening, during these scenes. I'm just kind of glossing over it because it's a lot of detail. I'm trying to just give you the story here. But while they're trying to make their way to this chopper or escape, whatever. They end up being threatened by a gigantosaurus, but that ends up not being a danger to them because the T-Rex shows up along with the Therizinosaurus, who both show up and fatally attack it. I guess in like a team up where you wouldn't think that would occur, but I guess they do a team up and they take out this gigantosaurus. Anyway, the group does escape via helicopter, and they end up taking Wu with them because he shows up and he's like, I'm so sorry, please take me with you, I can help with the locust thing. And then Ellie and Alan and Ian testify against Biosyn in front of Congress, and Ellie and Alan make nicey nice and share a smooch before this, which I guess everybody wanted to see. I don't know. Owen, Claire, and Maze return back to the cabin in the woods, and they reunite Beta with Blue in a cute little scene. It turns out Dr. Wu has in fact discovered a pathogen that could be introduced to the locust population to eradicate it so that they won't bring about massive global famine. And before the movie ends, we see that all over the globe, dinosaurs are adapting in order to coexist with modern animals and apparently humanity, and that the Biosyn Valley has been declared by the United Nations to be a dinosaur sanctuary. So that's a basic story of the movie. There's details I left out of all the dinosaur action scenes, so you can see all of that if you see the movie. And there's quite a bit of it. This movie's quite long. It's over 2 hours long. I didn't think very much of this movie. I have to say, I'm a big fan of the dinosaur movies. When Jurassic World came out, I was like, I've got to see that in IMAX because there was no IMAX when the first 3 came out. So, I was keen to see all that stuff, but really none of these last 3 movies have done it for me. And really, I can't say that any of these dinosaur movies have done it for me since Jurassic Park 2, and even that was, a shadow of the original Jurassic Park. So I don't know why these movies keep getting made. I mean, they must make money, otherwise they wouldn't make them. But this movie was no great shakes. The plot was, I don't know, it meandered for a lot of the 2 hours. It really did. I thought that the CEO character guy was like a lame character. He was very one-dimensional, almost a mustache-twirling villain type thing. B.D. Wong, to me, seemed to have phoned in his performance. It was just bad. He did a bad job this time around. And the other thing about that character too is really? Really? You did the same thing that you did twice before again? Without realizing it was bad? Really? What are you doing? They made way too much of the whole Claire is a clone of her mother thing, or a twin from her own twin. They just went on way too long about that. They made way too much of it, I thought. They never explain how Blue is able to reproduce on her own. What? I thought the whole plot about them infiltrating Biosyn to get the DNA was stupid. Getting the Beta back for Blue was cool and everything, but really, you made a promise to a dinosaur? I don't know, also stupid. Wanting to get the daughter back, of course, makes sense. And I get that they ran into different dino situations along the path of that, but I don't think the whole black market thing was necessary. This movie was 2 hours long, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Really? That was dumb. And really, the whole movie is just, it drags. It drags the whole time, except for the last maybe 45 minutes, 30 minutes, where they're all together, the characters from the old movies and the new movies, and they're trying to get out of the facility. And that part was actually kind of exciting. And you're watching it going, oh, what next? So that was pretty cool. But the rest of the movie was just, I was sitting there going, watching it. So I didn't enjoy it. There was a lot of, coincidences in it that you have to buy. And, this is going to sound awful, and it is awful, but Laura Dern, I think, is past her prime. And, I don't think that's strictly an age thing. There are a lot of Hollywood actors and actresses that have reached that age and they still look great, and they're not really past their prime. They're just older. But Laura Dern, to me, was past her prime, whatever that means. I didn't enjoy her being in the movie at all, where I quite enjoyed her in, the original Jurassic Park. Neither that character or the Grant character are used to their potential. They're kind of just there. They don't do any of this sciencey stuff that they did in the first movie, which is what made the characters engaging. They're just kind of there. They're like, for member-berry purposes, I thought they didn't, wasn't anything to it. I like the Chris Pratt character. I don't think much of the Claire character. I don't think much of the Maze character. There's just not, I didn't really see anything in this movie that was interesting. And, I think if I saw them do this thing one more time, really? Like, okay, I understand he trained, Blue and the other two velociraptors, and that this move was a thing in that movie, but they literally do it with all the different dinosaurs in this movie. And it's like, dude, you're holding your hand up. It's not it's not a lightsaber. Like, you're not gonna hold back this dinosaur, this giant dinosaur, with your hand. Like, it doesn't work. You're food to that dinosaur. Like, okay, you may have raised a couple of dinosaurs to respond to this whole thing, but they're not the rest of the dinosaurs are not hip to that move, okay? So why are you doing that? And why is Dr. Grant doing it? Like, where did he get this idea that you could just to a dinosaur? You can't even do that to a dog unless you've trained that one dog particularly. There's a scene where the three of them are basically doing it at the same time. It's just, what is that? You don't wield the force. Like I said lightsaber earlier, but it's more like the force. You're not wielding the force when you do this. I don't know why they make these movies other than to make money. And I thought from the trailer that the plot was going to be about how the dinosaurs are now roaming the earth, which itself is sort of a ripoff of Jurassic Park 3. But like, I thought we were going to have to see them deal with dinosaurs in, suburbia and whatnot. And all we get of that is like establishing shots. There's an establishing shot where you see like pterodactyl type dinosaurs landing on skyscrapers. And there's that whole bit where the dinosaur, the T-Rex shows up at the drive-in, but in this movie, it's only seen in news footage. So it's not part of the plot of the movie. And it's like, that's what I thought the movie was going to be about. Dominion, the dominion of dinosaurs versus the dominion of man. It's not about that. It's just about stupid people doing stupid, greedy things, just like the last few movies, just like the first one. And like, there's a couple of scenes. There's a scene like where there's a brontosaurus or whatever that shows up at a construction site, and everybody just stands around gawking at it. Yeah, and it's a little jarring. It's a little bit like, wow, there's a dinosaur at a construction site. Like, okay. But I thought the whole movie was going to be about that. And I don't think that's an accident. I don't think that's just on me. And it's not about that at all. And in the end, they literally just go, and everyone lived happily ever after in the animal kingdom. The end. Like, what? What? Like, I wanted, like, what? First of all, bullshit. Okay. And secondly, show me how that occurs. Just don't say it. Like, show me scenes of the dinosaurs learning to adapt or whatever. They just show them all hanging out together. They don't do the groundwork. And the whole movie basically takes place just like the last ones did, in like the dinosaur corporate park / offices, like it always does, like the last two movies, like the first one. And that's not, like, I've seen that movie repeatedly. Like, so I don't know. I hope they don't make another one. I really don't. It's stupid at this point. And you know what? The great thing about Jurassic Park movies is obviously the dinosaurs and how realistic they look and all that. And I know that in the original they used some level of practical effects, but you know what? In the original they looked great. In this one, the practical effects, I honestly couldn't tell at some parts if we were going to find out that the characters weren't really running from actual dinosaurs, but were only running from animatronic dinosaurs. Like there's a scene in the movie where there are dinosaurs are sort of like jump scaring the characters. And I legit thought, hey, these are just, within the movie, these are just animatronic dinosaurs that are there for decorative purposes within the narrative of the film. And the characters get spooked because they don't know at first that they're fake dinosaurs. And I thought we were going to have a moment where the characters went, oh, okay, those are just animatronic ones. Those aren't the real ones. But no, it doesn't happen. They're supposed to be real, but you'd swear that they're animatronic by the way they move, or more accurately, the way they don't move. And I'm like, really? And there are other scenes where they're like showing these giant, the dinosaur like heads are in focus and like someone's feeding one in a cage or whatever, or the Laura Dern character pets one at one point, and it's like, it's fake. They look fake as hell. And it just really, a multi-million Jurassic Park movie, and you've got these practical effect dinosaur heads that look like animatronics. The way they move some of these dinosaurs is very you can almost hear the gyros, going, because they're very like robots. They look fake. I mean, there's good CGI dinosaur stuff in there, but like, I don't know. I think that the movie was a mess. Nobody needed this story. It's just not a good movie. Not a good movie. I don't know. BD Wong, like I said, phoned it in. He's normally great. He was terrible in this movie. I thought, I don't know. I think they had something, with Jurassic World, the original. That was, okay. But this movie's just bad. It's just not good. And that's really all there is to it. Wait for it to come on cable. If you're going to see it, it's not a good movie. That's really it. I'm going to take off. I wish you peace and long life.